Hey there, TH Place here, and today we will be reacting to another video. Apparently, another firearms expert, John Ferguson is going to be reacting to, what Call of Duty Warzone guns. As you know, the new, Caldera update to Call of Duty Warzone, has introduced a lot of Vanguard guns. So let's see, how realistic and how it is, in Call of Duty. And yeah, of course he will be reacting to it, and yeah, and we'll be checking it out. So if you like these types of videos so far, make sure to drop me a like, and comment down below what videos you would like me to check out, and I'll be sure to check it out. Also, I'm trying to do this record, kind of like post a video every single day. And if you want me to continue this, make sure to subscribe, to help out the channel, and it helps me make hopefully daily content like this. But without further ado, let's get right into the video.
This is Jonathan Ferguson, the keeper of firearms and artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And on this episode, we're back to Call of Duty to show Jonathan the weapons from Warzone, and oh boy, it got him mad.
This is kind of depressing, guys, because this is one of my favourite historic weapons. I wrote 2 chapters of my book about it, and it ought to look like this, not like that.
Make sure to check out the previous COD episodes, including our Vanguard double bill of the multiplayer and campaign weapons, and if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to keep an eye out for our upcoming series Loadout, a show where we take a look at the history and impact of some of the most iconic weapons in gaming, from the M1 Garand and the Desert Eagle, through to the minigun and the AK-47. Naturally, Jonathan will be making a fair few appearances over on that show too, so make sure to check that out. Right, let's take a look at Call of Duty Warzone.
One of my favourite firearms of all time, the MP5. Now, the K cut, the short version that has come over from Black Ops, I think, has got a weird forend on it, handguard. Here's a K. The K in its super compact form with no kind of butt and nothing on the top to get snagged. And this one happens to be gold plated, which makes it look quite video gamey, which is why I've picked it to show you today. For some reason, the Black Ops version has a version of a civilian modern day handguard, because due to a quirk of US law, without jumping through some hoops and paying some money, you can't have a foregrip on a semi-automatic pistol version of this. So someone came up with a version that is just straight and has cooling holes drilled in it, so it's not the right fit for Black Ops, Cold War, Warzone, anything goes, so fine. Little bit of a weird one here. I think this is meant to be a SIG 552 Commando. Now, it's clearly customizable to the nth degree, to the point where it can be a rifle, carbine, whatever you want, but it's more angular than the SIG 550 series. It doesn't quite look right. It looks like one of these weird Call of Duty, I have said legally different, but I don't think it's a legal thing at all. I think it's just I guess it's a creative license thing, but it doesn't look as it should. Right, bit of extra pressure to analyse this one, as it's one of the guns that featured in my book on British Bullpup Firearms. This is sort of the L86A1. This thing, basically an assault rifle on steroids, never really found its niche. It was supposed to be a squad support weapon, light machine gun, and in service, not enough firepower to be a useful light machine gun, and too heavy and awkward to be a rifle. Now, how does this thing look? Well, it's pretty different in detail. So it has the overall aesthetics of the SA-80. Every little detail is wrong. So the magazine release on this, when we see it actually operated, is a button, like a small button. Well, infamously, the magazine release on the SA-80 is a lever, and in its original form, unprotected. So if you accidentally pressed it against you, out drops your magazine, and that happened to a number of soldiers. So that's not right. The hand grip is not right. It's similar but extended, and for some reason it has Picatinny rail on top of it, which the A1 didn't have any Picatinny rail on it. Certainly didn't have a continuous rail across the top. We only managed that with the A3, and there isn't an A3 LSW because it was got rid of. The barrel, at least in this configuration, is not long enough. It's the wrong profile. Flash hider's the wrong one, but maybe it's been modified. The outrigger, as it's known, this girder thing here, is too short on the one in the game. The bipod is wrong. A lot of it is wrong.
RPD, the RPD. Let's see the RPD. Belt, fat Russian machine.
This is an
gun.
interesting one.
Basically like a
Interesting
boxed up
gun to include in the
AK-47
game,
with a belt, I
and
think.
a very interesting gun in its own right. Now, you'd have been struck if you've seen it in the game, or if this is your first time seeing
60?
it, by how much this thing looks like a baby MG42. And I think they've done a good job of this one. Some really odd design decisions on some of these guns, but this one is really quite a nice reproduction of the real thing. I'm not sure what the customization options are going to be for this, but I'm guessing they work around it somehow. And of course, being a belt-fed light machine gun, it has the lifting top cover, feed tray, all the stuff you'd expect to see. And when we see that flipped up in the game, we've got all the right bits inside as well. So,
Damn.
good job on this one, guys.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. Isn't this the growl? Oh, this is a
Yeah, I'm not
different
really a
weapon.
fan of this one. On the one hand, it's cool that someone has attempted to design
Oh, the KSP.
a fictional Cold War era submachine gun. On the other, it's kind of frustrating because there are so many actual designs out there that they could have just used. I don't really see why they bothered. You know, there are styling
I think this is
cues
KSP.
of like modern B&T submachine guns. The trigger guard area is reminiscent of the HK SMG2 prototype thing. There are all sorts of bits that we could pull apart and say, well, this looks a bit like this. UMP-ish as well, sort of. And there are burst fire submachine guns, of course. Famously, the MP5 Navy trigger pack has a 3-round burst feature on it, but it also has full auto. The whole ethos of a submachine gun is automatic fire. Yes, sometimes burst can be useful. 2-round burst on the Chris Vector seems to work really well, my limited experience with it. But generally speaking, you want controllable, because it's a pistol cartridge, and you want automatic fire, or the ability to get to fire semi. And just watching this gameplay just reinforces for me that you are kind of nerfing the design by including that feature, and it just turns it into a sort of generic gun. But it's a cool design, don't get me wrong. The fact that they've got the aesthetic right for the 1980s, 90s is nice to see. But I always prefer to see real things. Right, I've been hit with a gag gun again. This is some sort of horrific gold skin. I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be. I think that's the Accuracy International AX50.
Yeah.
Short suppressor on the end looks to be some sort of option. You do get suppressors for 50 caliber rifles. Not sure that there's one in service with the AW or AX50 anywhere, but one that's that short I'm not sure would be particularly worth having on the gun.
True.
Oh god, it's got a charm on it as well. It's got some sort of anime puppy hanging off the left side of
Anime
it. And now that I
puppy,
see the
oh.
skin from an angle, it's kind of a Damascus finish. Makes even less sense than some of the brightly coloured skins we see on guns. Because these days, you can send your gun off to someone to dip it in Cerakote or something, and it'll come out with, you know, skulls on it or something. So these outlandish finishes on guns are not that outlandish if people were insane enough to use them in actual combat. But this one, where it has some sort of bump mapping effect or something, where it has relief to it, and the fact that they've done it to the scope as well, it ain't right.
I know, right? Gee.
It's another Deagle. For once, I haven't got one out to wave about. This is a little odd. I don't think this matches any actual model of Desert Eagle out there. It looks like the modern lightweight shortened form, but it doesn't have the ports in the barrel or the Picatinny top rail. I think it's just a kind of another one of these tweaked designs. I don't know why they get tweaked in COD games, but anyway. But for me, as a in-game design, this loses something of the presence of the Desert Eagle by not being long enough.
True.
I will say, and this is perfectly plausible, if somebody is sufficiently experienced and has strong arms and wrists, and you can fire a Desert Eagle and have it look like it does on screen in terms of recoil. Someone like me fires it, it's going to pivot sharply toward the ceiling, because the 50 AE version of the Desert Eagle has a significant amount of recoil, and it does take some strength.
I mean, it's a pretty big cartridge. It's literally 50 caliber.
The recoil's kind of accommodated in the game by
this big.
it seems to have a sort of maximum rate of fire, and you kind of can't outpace. You can't fire it as fast as you can a lower caliber gun in the game, because otherwise you would just use nothing but this. The only advantage to something like a Glock would be 3 times the round, twice 3 times the round.
Ooh. UMP? I have no clue what any of these guns are. It's been so long since I played Warzone.
Another fictional gun. I don't really know what this is supposed to be. Interestingly, it looks like
LC10.
a Weaver rail on top rather than a Picatinny rail, which would fit with the Cold War origin better than Picatinny rail.
Yeah.
The Picatinny rail, or the what is now a NATO standard rail, didn't really become popular until the end of the 90s. Cold War's over, so we'd expect no rail or a Weaver pattern rail on guns of that era. The gun itself is quite a cool design. I don't like the thumb hole stock, and there's no way you design a submachine gun with a thumb hole stock. They're just too awkward. You have to kind of make an effort to grasp the pistol grip rather than just having it there, and it makes it excessively bulky. I can't work out what it's supposed to be made of. So the thumb hole stock would imply polymer. Doesn't look like polymer, and indeed the actual Cold War era is a bit early for that. Well, other than things like the Steyr Eugene. Yeah, I'm a little bit nonplussed by it, put it that way. Someone's had fun designing it, and that's the main thing.
Ooh, what gun is this?
Oh,
I have
good
no clue.
Lord. I may need to take a moment on this one. Tremendously conflicted, because on the one hand, I've been wanting to see someone put an EM2 in a game.
Oh, it's the
other
EM2.
than that Fallout 4 mod that someone made, which looks a lot better than this. So let me get one. This is an automatic rifle EM2, experimental model 2. And hopefully you can see why I'm face palming, because broadly this is correct. So like if I showed it to you and closed your eyes, you might think, oh yeah, that's all right. But then it's been dropped on its carrying handle from a great height, and is weirdly deformed for no good reason. The pistol grip, which should be this carved wooden thing, is wood, but then it has extra wood coming back here that doesn't exist on any of the real guns. We have most of them here at the Royal Armouries. It has checkering that never existed on the EM2. Little details like the trigger guard is quite sharply angled, which is more like the one on the later versions of this, the 7.62 NATO versions, where we Brits gave up on this short lower power cartridge and went with the American choice of 7.62 NATO, which was the first thing that killed this experimental design, by the way. The forend, the handguard, is too short. It's been cut off too soon. There's a really bizarre birdcage flash hider that never existed for this rifle. So this is kind of depressing, guys, because this is one of my favourite historic weapons. I wrote 2 chapters of my book about it, and it ought to look like this, not like that.
Oh, bless his soul, man. Bless his soul.
Pause. Okay, nice touch. You've clawed back some points there, guys. So what we see there is magazine off, and then if it had rounds in, magazine on, and that would send the bolt home. So it locks open on the empty magazine, and then when you fit the fresh magazine, the bolt goes home. Speeds up the reload on this thing. Now it's slowed down by it being a bullpup, but you claw back some speed by it chambering its own first round in the mag when you put the mag on. Cool idea for the time. Really hasn't caught on. No one else has done it. It probably would have been a problem. But they have clearly been watching some videos of this thing shooting, and
same thing as the M1 Garand, right?
That is on the EM2.
Where you will get like it. Oh, what gun is this? I forgot what gun is this.
Well, yuck. Sorry, whoever designed this. I'm sure you put a lot of hours into it. It's cool. It would be a cool sci-fi design, or like an alternative.
It looks like a real gun.
1980s design. I can't get alongside it as a weapon that's supposed to exist in our reality. Put it that way. Looks like I'm squinting at a G11. Now the magazine on that sat above the barrel and reciprocated in order to feed the bizarre clockwork design, and I'm seeing some design cues toward the rear that suggest that's taken from the G11, but now we have it fed from a magazine at the rear, which is much more conventional. So you could I suppose argue that this is what the G11 might have evolved into in a parallel universe. It's not a bad design, don't get me wrong. It has that chunky 1990s aesthetic, I would say. Looks plausibly like it could function. It's just, I think for me, it's just too distractingly like a G11. Why not just have the G11 in the game?
True. Oh, Swiss K31. Woo!
This one's a bit left field. I don't think I knew this was in the game. It's the Swiss K31, or a really short, maybe the carbine version of it. I always think the cocking handle looks like two Rolos, for those of you in the UK, stuck to the top and bottom of it. That's just the way my brain works. And we have that kind of ring pull cocking piece, which makes a lot of sense to me. If you get a dud cartridge and you want to recock and try again, easy enough to recock. And also very positive safety-wise for letting it down if you have to decock the thing for whatever reason. Anyway, going off piece there. Sounds great, I have to say. The real sort of resonant report from this thing, which I'd expect from a full-power cartridge like this. But a little bit wacky in a modern shooter.
True. But I mean, it's from the Black Ops Cold War one, right? Ah, yes, it's the AUG.
Of course, this is modifiable, as everything is, and we've removed the fixed the iconic carry handle with the low power optic, and replaced it with a sort of period correct for Black Ops Cold War, a bit of weaver rail, which looks sort of bodged on, but you know, why not? And then an optic attached to that, and some sort of change to the muzzle device, I think. In the real world, there aren't too many options for an AUG or AUG A1, but this is old school with some relatively subdued tweaks to it, so I quite like what I see of it. Considering Warzone is basically a free-for-all of modification and craziness, this one looks quite good.
Ah, yeah, this is the Black Ops Cold War version.
Join us again next time. In the meantime, you might want to check out Royal Armoury's YouTube channel, and the link's in the description.
Yeah, but anyways, I think, man, this is actually pretty interesting. You know, there's some really good guns in there, and there's some just, you know, just absolutely horrible guns by his standard. But yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, a firearms perspective on, like, you know, a firearms like specialist perspective on like video games, because, you know, we don't usually get that a lot. And it's really interesting, and I kind of learned a little bit about history. But, you know, do let me know down in the comment section below, you know, what you think about it. And if you like this video so far, make sure to drop me a like to let me know, and also consider subscribing, you know, if you would like to, you know, help on this channel, you know, completely for free. And also I stream over at twitch.tv/TZHplays, where, you know, I record these videos live. So if you want to get a sneak peek into these videos, make sure you go check out my live streams over there. But without further last but not least, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video or live stream.